Well, it was a nice day here in Ontario yesterday. Today, +3, now +4. That's cold. That's like, 40? Ooh, I think I got it right. That's like 40 in your U.S. system. What a horrible night it was last night for racing at Mohawk. I watched the rain come down. I watched Stonebridge Simba earlier in the afternoon, finished 5th. He raced good. When I first saw I didn't see the race right away, and I turned it on and I didn't see him in the top 4. I'm like, oh man, come on. And then it wasn't Aaron's fault. You know, he gave the horse a good trip. He got away 3rd. He just got shuffled back through the field. And then he was literally last almost at 3/4 at the head of the lane. Head of the lane, he was almost last. He came charging late to be 5th and closed hard under the wire. So looked good in there. And then cruising in style later on in the night, I was watching a little bit of the World Series and some other things and clicked over. Man, oh man, it was so windy. They didn't even show the flags. They showed the trees. I guess it might have been the race before cruising in style as I saw the trees and they were just blowing. It must have been brutal out last night. Well, 3/4, 125, mile 57. And one horse just kind of snuck by him at the wire. For being off almost a month, I think that was a pretty good mile for him. So Kevin's crew did a great job with him. Now, we were going to try and get some droning in today, but I had a couple little hiccups. One, James is coming back. I'd said it in a video yesterday. Ava. I'd said it in a video yesterday. If you guys didn't know this, James didn't work for us all summer. He was done in June. Shortly, right before, almost the first day I left to go to the States, James was done. Not much need. I mean, James and James's side had trained down most of the Ohio and PA horses, and they were gone. So there wasn't really a necessity for James to be. It works out really well because we need to kind of contract our staff here in Canada as all these horses leave in the summer. James starts a stake season, so it's a great mix where, you know, we got the best of both worlds. We got James helping us train the horses down, and then when we really don't need him anymore, he doesn't need us anymore. So it's a very good mix, but that will come to an end on Monday. James is back. I thought, you know, if James is back today, we could bring everybody a couple of drone videos. I know I told everybody we weren't going to be droning for a little bit, but realistically speaking, we have a number of things we're working on. Yeah. Obviously, we won't be able to have an open house this year because of the restrictions, but does that mean we can have a virtual open house? What does that look like? We're in the very preliminary stages of going through that. Obviously, Kelly and Curtis, the people that are actually proactive and stuff like that, had brought it to my attention and said, hey, Curtis was the one that said, I can do this, I can do that. And then obviously Kelly logistically would be the one that would carry the football for most things after that. For me, I'm still not done with stake season or with sale season. We have Timonium. A number of clients are asking us about Timonium. Now, I have 2 jobs. This year's different than any other year for a number of reasons. My number 1 job is to sell out as many shares as I can going into Timonium. And that isn't for any other reason than financial security, I suppose. I want to make sure that we're in a better place than we've ever been, the stable, heading into Christmas season. Right? It's been a difficult year for everybody, but man, oh man, everybody's really stepped up for the most part. We don't have that many shares left of horses overall. Sure, we have a couple of Ohio breds that a lot left. 2 Indiana breds are sold out. The other one's still got lots of shares. She's a nice filly. But I want to be able to bring that filly to you and show you that filly and show you why she's a nice filly. If you had have seen the Indiana results from yesterday, and I suspect they're going to be very similar today for the sale down there, I think we did pretty good on the Swan for Alls we bought. Spend That Money's brother was sold out immediately. The Muscle Massive colt was sold out virtually immediately. And then we had the Swan for All filly. Very nice video on her. She's a very, very good looking filly. Got a little bit of an attitude, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. She still has a number of shares left. So I'd like to work on that. As I said, a couple of the Ohio breds. If I'm going into Timonium and I am looking at a couple of more Ohio breds, I want to have the confidence to know that people are going to buy them. I'm not just going to buy them to buy them. That makes no sense, and it would put me in a very precarious position when it came to the yearlings. So what is on tap for Timonium? Quite simply, it's going to be a populist sale. What are we looking for? And that is the order I'm going to fill. I know what I'm looking for, but without the backing and support going into the sale, it's going to be very difficult for me just to jump up and do what I please. I think we've done a tremendous job so far, especially when you look at the Ontario breds we bought. We have a half-brother to a world champion. Set the world record, 6 weeks ago? The veteran, 150-1 in Lexington. His half-brother by Resolve is in our barn with 40 shares left. Then I watch a Resolve sell in London for $140,000, another one for $70,000. You knew, I told you this was going to happen. The good thing about Lexington was there were so many horses, something had to fall through. And it did, and I believe that I was there for a lot of them. You know, the only horse even close to what I thought it would go for, I believe, well, Twinkle in Your Eye, I thought would go for more, but that was still a pretty good chunk of money, $42,000 for her. And then Ty One On, which was Tipsy and Dixie's sister, I said 22. She went for 21. I was pretty well bang on with every horse we bought, or well below. And then when you take into account the regional sales, Ohio, impossible, so hard to buy horses in Ohio at the Ohio sale this year. Ontario, Indiana. These regional sales were very difficult to purchase from, and I think when you take a look at all the data, what we've done and what we came out with, man, oh man, I think we did a very, very good job. Well, obviously I'm biased, I was the one bidding, but tell me I'm wrong. I mean, obviously none of us will really know or care until next July, but when we look at the prices we paid and the horses we received for those prices, I just think we were very fortunate, put it that way. I'm not trying to pat myself in the back. We were very fortunate, I believe, in the Lexington sale. So on to Timonium. I'm gonna be there next Sunday. I'm gonna fly out of here. I'm not driving down. I'm gonna fly out of here. I've been trying to talk Amy into going, but no, that's the issue, is that the kids can't come. Now I thought that maybe Adeline would be able to come, but Amy was worried about that, and I don't blame her. Aside from everything going on in the world, you have the U.S. election. Because you can't cross the border, sweetheart. During the election, during the sale is the U.S. election, and we're in close to Baltimore, so it might be an outdoor sale, but it might turn indoors quick. So I'm just joking. I'm sure it'll be fine. But all things considered, I mean, I still left it up to my wife. Obviously, I would like my wife to come, but we'll see. We'll see. As of right now, I will be there next Sunday doing videos, looking at horses, and showing you what's on tap at Timonium for 2020, which would be the first ever sale at Timonium, Maryland. But they say it's a nice property. It is outdoors, though. I'm gonna have to dress warm. I'm getting ready for it right now with this +4. But so all in all, we finished off the year well in Ohio, very, very well. We've had a pretty good run in Pennsylvania. We continue to have that run. If any of the horses, like Stonebridge Simba, he'll get out of the numbers of 4,500. Where he goes after that, I don't know. Does he come back home? Does he stay in Pennsylvania? Does he go somewhere else? Everything's on the table. Everything and anything is on the table right now. I did put some horses up for sale on OnGate. These are horses that are going to or are currently in between classes. I know I had some messages from a couple of people saying, why don't we try this, why don't we try that? I've been in contact with the trainers that we would be using in these other jurisdictions. Last thing I want to do is send a horse just to send a horse. If the horse can't do, the horse can't do, and that has to be the realistic opinion of everybody involved. Now, we took Don't Believe Me, Just Watch out of the claimers the other day, put him back in the condition at Woodbine, and we can say he got a weigh bore, or he did this, or he did that. At the end of the day, he can't do in that class. He just can't. You don't have to wait for me to tell you. Just look at the odds boards, where the horse, what his odds were going to the gate, where he finished. Sure, I shouldn't say that. He was moderately bet down, but, you know, if we only have so many starts a year. Think of it this way. We only have so many starts in a horse every year. And anytime you go to the gate and you know you probably can't win, unless it's a stake race. What's wrong? Hey, but don't, honey. Unless it's a stake race, it's kind of a wasted start, right? Especially when we have a class, we can win. So, you know, I've talked to Kevin about it, and I told him, listen, I'm not going to tell you what to do. You do whatever you want to do. But as the person who operates the stable, I would like to see the horses in where they can win. So we will see what happens with Don't Believe Me, Just Watch next week. The same goes for a number of horses we have up for sale. We had a couple of people saying, why are we selling these horses? It's pretty simple. They're reaching their saturation point, and the equity in those horses. Every time we put money in our pockets, it takes money out of the overall equity. If you have somebody looking for a horse saying, well, the horse still fits this or this class for 3 starts or 2 wins or whatnot, and then you put money and a win on the horse, it decreases the horse's value, or it makes it more difficult to purchase the horse for the most part. So we did sell Need Your Opinion this week. Now, it was an odd situation. I had told the clients of Need Your Opinion there was an offer on the table, $24,000 US. 2 of the clients in that group, the only 2 that didn't want to sell, bought everybody else out at that price. So it made my job easier. I could keep everybody happy by simply selling the filly to the 2 clients. Everybody got the money they wanted out. They got the horse. They get to keep the horse, and it worked out really, really well. So that would be perfect scenario every time, but it's not always like that. So Need Your Opinion changed hands but didn't go anywhere. Arctic Force and Bottle of Red are on the on-gate sale board. A horse many of you may not know of, Changing of the Guard. He is on the on-gate sale board. We're very close to making an agreement on him also. It's fall now, right? We're getting the babies in. I want to focus on the young horses, take a look at the older horses and say, okay, what path are they on? What trajectory are they on? And how do we keep them on a favorable path, so to speak? How do we keep them moving forward, saying, I think this horse can do in this class for quite some time, and if he can't or she can't, where can we move them? If it looks like we're reaching some sort of saturation point, is there a different facility or jurisdiction they can move to? If not, what are our options at that point? And I think that's where we're at with a couple of horses. So, we have the babies in Timonium next week. We have the horses on the sale board. We have horses racing nonstop. We're going to shift some back, trade some out, and hopefully set everybody on a course, on a path that makes sense and is reasonable for both horse and human moving forward in the 2020, what's left of the 2020 season. So that's where we're at right now. As you know, the 2-year-olds that have raced last week in the stakes, they're all turned out now. Some of the 2-year-olds have came back. They're now in Ontario. Italian Grit, Fox Valley Britska. They're back now jogging in Ontario. I think Kevin is going to get Italian Grit. And he's going to get my horse, Cambridge Star. Fox Valley Britska will probably stay in Shed Row 12 for now. And as we start to bring the Ohio breds in, obviously Jason's Shed Row and Shed Row 12 can move some of the overflow. Now, in regards to Jason, I don't think he got his test back yet, but he's feeling much better now. So he has kicked it, so to speak. I don't know how long the virus, I don't know any of that. I don't think anybody does, really. He'll continue to get tested. When he tests negative, he'll head back home where he has to quarantine for 2 weeks anyway. Kirby's on his way back. Jason. Kirby's on his way back also next week. They're just closing up their house, their apartment that they rented, the house that they rented in Ohio.
And are we going to rent a house?
Maybe next year, sweetheart. So that is what's up with the stable. We're in a state of flux right now. We're switching from stakes mode to baby mode again as far as the drone is concerned. We are going to drone next Saturday. So getting back to what I was originally saying, James couldn't come in today. The babies are just broke today. They were great yesterday. I'd like to get 4 or 5 days of greatness into them, so to speak. And then I think they'd be fit to drone. Next week we'll have myself, James, maybe Phil Cool and Mario go with them. Maybe we'll go in little sets of 3 or 4. Show everybody off the horses we have. There's some horses you don't know we have. Horses that were sent here privately. And you'll see them start to pop up on the board also. For those of you, I guess it's worth mentioning, for those of you that were watching the Lexington sale and said, Anthony, why didn't you buy, I forget what hip she was. Arches Rainbow. She was an Archangel filly. First foal, I think, out of a Muscle Hill mare, if I'm not mistaken. Why didn't you buy her when she went for $5,000? Well, at the time, we had bought a lot of horses. I liked the filly, and to be quite frank, I should have bought her. I was sitting there, I hesitated, and somebody else bought her. Now, the somebody else that bought her, I know very well. I came to see them after, and I said, listen, if I don't get what I want on the last day of Lexington, would you be interested in selling that filly? I'll give you $7,500 for her. Now, I said 7 to begin with, but he had kept the filly for a week after that, and shipped her home and took care of her. So he called me the other day. He said, do you still want this filly? I just assumed he sold her because there were other people that were looking, I assume. I said, yeah, I'll buy her right now. So we had a truck leaving Ohio that day, or the next day. We rushed the papers, got them done. And Arch's Rainbow is actually in our care. I jogged her the last 2 days. She's here. So there's her. There's a filly, a giant Uncle Peter filly named Kathy with an I. She is here also. What else? There's a lot going on. So when it comes to the horses right now, we have a ton of horses coming in, a ton of horses here. Everything is just in flux right now. So over the next week and a half, my job will be settle everything down, figure out who's staying in Pennsylvania, figure out who's coming home, who's getting turned out, and figure out who's going up for sale. That will be my number one job, aside from going to the Timonium sale. Now, a lot of our clients are saying, Anthony, what about the mixed sale? Are you buying any racehorses? I don't know if they're attainable. I don't know if they'll be affordable, but I could be talked in to buying a racehorse or two, depending on